introduce Jeff Bush, president of Overflow Works. He's been in direct marketing for 20 years, over 1 billion direct marketing pieces sent out. He's actually originated loans, owned a mortgage company in the beginning of this 2000 to 2007, closed over 5,000 loans, leveraging direct mail as its primary lead generation tactic. So with that said, I want to introduce Jeff Bush. Thank you for joining us this morning, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate it.
Good deal.
So I guess I can just jump right into this. So as Jay said, I mean, I've been selling direct mail to mortgage companies for 20 years. My biggest client I ever had was Ditech Mortgage. They spent $10 million on direct mail with me between 2004 and 2006. And sold a direct mail company, and I had a non-compete, so I couldn't do direct mail for a couple of years. So I went and opened a mortgage company, and I did that for 7 years. And it went real well until the little crash of '07, and shut that down, and then kind of went back in the direct mail business a few years ago. And so just a long experience of doing mail, data, printing, writing copy, training loan officers, call center, that whole deal. So I feel like I can be a better marketer for my clients because I've been in the business and I know this real well just from doing it for so long. So I appreciate having me on the call. I'll jump right into a couple of letters that we're having a lot of success with. Obviously, the FHA borrowers, they tend to refinance often. They hate paying government mortgage insurance. So we have designed this letter to get rid of your expensive government mortgage insurance forever. So this letter is targeting FHA borrowers that maybe have 10, 15, 20% equity in the property. They opened the loan, say, 12 to 48 months ago, and property values have come up around the country. So they might get out of their FHA loan, move over to conventional, and get rid of their mortgage insurance, or maybe a lender paid MI loan if they're 90% LTV where you buy out their mortgage insurance. So our letter is their current loan amount, and when they open their FHA loan, the month and year, figure out exactly what interest rate they're paying and what mortgage insurance factor they're paying. And when we put the letter together with their specific mortgage amount, payment, mortgage insurance, and we say, hey, you're currently paying $2,000 a month on your mortgage, we can get it down to $1,600. That's a $400 a month savings, $4,800 a year. And by the way, you may qualify for 10% of your loan amount cash out. Show them a $20,000 cash out for $79 a month. So this goes out to FHA borrowers, but it really has 3 different offers on there. Get out of your FHA loan, take cash out, and worst case scenario, you streamline them and save them, $100, $200, $300 a month, depending on their current rate. This has been one of our best letters over the last couple of years. Mailed a ton of them. So just giving you some examples of a successful direct mail campaign is probably my best one that I put most of my clients on. If you wanted to mail an offer for a 15-year term, we might go pull a data set of people that opened a mortgage loan between 10 and 15 years ago. If they haven't refinanced in the last 10 years, they're probably not going to, at least not on another 30-year fix. So if you wanted to offer a 15-year term and show people how they can trim 5 years off the term of their loan with a really low rate, we can target the data real specific and mail a letter for a 15-year. It's kind of what this sample is. Envelopes, trying to get your envelope open, sometimes we'll do a hand-addressed font and put a real stamp on it. It doesn't cost that much more and gets a huge open rate instead of the window envelopes that you see a lot of people doing. And then the other envelope I'm showing on the screen is a 6x9 double. Could be reduced by $4,800 a year. So that showing through the double window envelope gets it opened. So just some unique envelopes that we use to try to lift response rates by getting more people to open them.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have a database of loans you funded over the last few years, Shea Mortgage, most people have probably heard of Shea Homes, the big home builder out there. They funded 17,000 loans over the last 5 years. every month. So anytime we mail a customer database of your past customers, they're going to respond, 5 times as well as a cold acquisition list. So we mailed 17,000 letters. Client spends, let's say, 10 grand. They got 340 phone calls and closed, 50 loans off a $10,000 direct mail campaign to a warm list. So if you have your own customers, we can design something kind of customer retention. Your 2015 mortgage checkup, this was done January of last year, so probably time to do it again. But FHA streamlines, we came up with the verbiage, just say no with HUD's FHA streamline refi, no appraisal, no income, no FICO, kind of a little play on the just say no to drugs. Kind of funny, people get this letter and call, and this has worked really well for us just for streamlines. Showing through the window envelope, final notice of FHA interest rate reduction, that gets it opened. So, showing some different samples of letters. I've got a big client in Irvine, California. This guy spends $400,000 a month on direct mail. And he said, hey, Jeff, Fannie Mae just told us that we can rebate the customer $500 to do a HARP loan. Kind of funny, that seems to be against the old RESPA guidelines of rebates to the customer, but when Fannie Mae came out with it, we were able to give them a $500 gift when their loan closed. So we came up with this credit card, put $500 on there, and embossed their name on the credit card, mail this letter with the credit card attached, so when they get it in the mail, they feel this lumpy credit, the envelope, it gets the envelope open, and the name and the 16-digit phony account number, kind of just authenticated the offer with their name embossed on it. And, normally this guy pays 50 cents for a direct mail campaign, and this one was like 80 cents. So it's substantially more, but it tripled his response rate putting a little credit card on there. So I like showing that mailer, kind of unique, kind of pricey, but if you had a real good targeted list, it might be worth putting a credit card in the envelope, glue it to the letter with their name on it if you had a special offer. So just showing different mail pieces.
Yeah, nice.
We've got a list of non-owner occupied properties around the country, and nobody mails to these people, and most people didn't realize that you could do a non-owner occupied HARP loan, unlimited LTV, Fannie Mae. So we started getting lists of people, let's say they live in California, but they've got a rental home out in Phoenix, Arizona. We'd mail the letter to their mailing address here in California, but we'd reference their property in Arizona and say, hey, your rental home out in Arizona qualifies for a HARP refi because it's Fannie Mae owned. And we were getting, 1 to 2% response rates instead of the normal 0.5% response, just mailing to non-owners specifically about their rental home. So we funded, I think last year, my client Loan Depot funded like 700 loans marketing non-owner occupied properties on this sneaky little letter that went to the mailing address. So non-owner occupied marketing is a big response rate there. A little tougher loans to do, but no appraisal on HARP. It's kind of nice. And there's still a lot of them out there. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you said something that made me want to ask you a question. You said something about you did a list. So do you provide? I know you provide the mailers, and I know you provide the pieces, but do you provide the list also? Is that something that you can do?
Yes. I mean, we're kind of direct marketing, start to finish. So let's say that you're in Colorado and you want to do an FHA mailer. We'll pull up a list of how many FHA loans funded between this date and this date that are over $150,000 loan amounts with, higher interest rates, and we'll show you how much data is in Colorado by county, and you pick which counties you want to mail, and then we go by the list, and then we design the letter, we print it, we mail it, we give you a toll-free tracking number so you can track the phone calls. And then at the end of the campaign, if you show us a list of all the loans you funded, we can match it back to our mailing list and show you kind of an ROI report on, hey, we mailed 5,000 letters, we got 40 calls, and we funded 5 loans. And so we can kind of do the whole thing start to finish, and definitely the data is pretty crucial, so we provide all the data.
No kidding. All right. Well, I didn't know that part. That's actually great. So you're basically turnkey when it comes to direct marketing. You can do the research. You can develop the list. Obviously, the client, the originator that we have, will sign off on it. But you're turnkey when it comes to this direct mail marketing piece that you're doing.
Absolutely, yes, the whole thing. So I'm pretty familiar with C2 Financial and how your setup is to do loans. I think it's a great system because you have so many lenders you can send loans to, whether you broker or bank the loan and just paying a fee for every loan you fund. So I've worked with a few of the C2 loan officers around the country doing mailers, and this is one of the mailers that I've done up in Oakland, California. So I think the C2 loan officer, he would buy like a 5,000 piece mailer. He'd spend $3,750, and when we mail out 5,000 of this letter, he was getting anywhere from 30 to 40 phone calls a month. And out of those 35 to 40 phone calls, he was closing, his worst month, 4 loans, his best month, 8 loans. So he's spending $3,750, but he's bringing in, $20, $30, $35,000 in revenue. And just, the way you're set up to pay per funded loan, it was a great ROI. So this particular loan officer spent about $30,000 with me last year, which is kind of a lot of money for one loan officer, but as long as he's getting a return. So this was mailed to FHA borrowers around Oakland, California, Northern California, and had a lot of success with this.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's actually closing a lot more than that.
Right. Just, the loans close off the mailer, every month, and then plus he's got all that purchase business. So, once he's doing 10 or 15 loans a month, that's great, right?
Yeah.
So there's one C2 Financial letter, and, we work with C2's compliance department to make sure all the letters are compliant, the full disclaimer. So whatever letters we design, we typically will send them over to compliance, make sure that they sign off on them. So there's one example. Show you a couple more C2 guys that have been doing some mail with me. So this is kind of a funny mailer. It's a VA mailer that goes out to veterans that have adjustable rate mortgages. So we know that if people that take out an adjustable rate mortgage, they refinance a lot more often than a 30-year fixed borrower. So when we mail them, we get a lot higher response. And on this letter, if you look at the bottom, we put a picture of a veteran with a broken arm. And we said, hey, it's come to our attention you may currently have an adjustable rate arm. Our firm's in the business of mending broken VA arms. So kind of goofy, kind of funny, but people got a kick out of this, and we had a huge response rate on it. And so if you wanted to do some VA streamlines, some EARLs, there's a good letter that that we can use and pull the VA data. So FHA, VA are probably our 2 most popular mailers. But if you want to do something for conventional loans, you want to do something for reverse mortgage loans, we've got letters and data for all of that. So here's another mailer that we did. This is kind of an interesting one. So I think we figured out that you can do an 85% cash out loan, FHA, with an appraisal with like a low FICO score. Like I think it's down to like a 580 FICO score. So what we figured out is a lot of people were going into the bank trying to take cash out, and if they're below like a 680 score, they couldn't do it. So one of the C2 financial loan officers figured out that he could do this. So what we did is we mailed kind of low FICO score FHA borrowers with $10,000 in credit card debt, and we said, hey, we'll lower your interest rate and give you some cash at the same time to pay off your credit cards. So this was kind of a very specific data set. Going to the credit bureau, the data was more expensive, and there's some compliance around that we have to get into, but kind of an interesting little niche, cash out, low FICO. FHA is the only one that'll do it. So try to find mailing lists that are targeted, and then we write the letter very specific to what we know about those people on the list. And that's what makes direct mail work. 60% of success of direct mail is a mailing list, and 30% is the offer. What are you saying to those people on the letter? Only 10% of the success of direct mail is the color of the letter, the envelope, whether you do a postcard or, everybody focuses And we say in the mortgage direct mail business that tricky works better than pretty, always. So we don't put pictures of houses and, I don't even like putting like logos on it unless I have to, because it just works better when it's simple. So this is a very successful mailer. We did have a loan officer do a non-owner occupied mailing with us talking about HARP. So this is an example of that. And we give you this toll-free phone number that rings right to your office. And every time the phone rings, we record the phone call and send you an email. So you can track the campaign. And just in case you're busy, if you're a one-person operation and you're on the phone and a $100 direct mail call comes in and you miss it, you pick up their caller ID so you can call them right back and don't miss any phone calls. That's a toll-free tracking system that we use, and that's all included in the price of the mailer. Good. We do snap packs. Instead of having an envelope, if you've seen direct mail out there, it's a little, fold-up form that kind of tears apart on the side. It's perforated, and it looks kind of official. Some loan officers, mortgage companies love doing these snap packs, especially this time of year, tax time. It kind of looks like an official document, and people are looking for their 1099s or their, final W-2. So this gets a lot of attention this time of year. A lot of people are doing snap packs, so we have all the equipment. We invested about $250,000 about a year ago setting up our own print shop. So I'm calling in from Murrieta, California. But our print facility is in Temecula, so we've got Xerox lasers, folders, inserters, all the equipment. We've got a big mail truck, so we print all of our own mail, and we drive it over to the Temecula post office. So we're kind of in control of the whole thing, and that's kind of a new development. A year ago, we started doing all of our own printing versus outsourcing. So we got our costs down, quick return times.
Nice.
So I wanted to show this mailer. We print letters up on a sheet. So this is 2 different letters, and we just cut them in half when they're done. We print on a Xerox laser. So you can see Christina's name on the left letter and Mario on the right. I want to show something kind of important here. We assign a PIN number to every mailer that we do that's unique. And so when the borrower calls in, your toll-free phone number, instead of asking for their name and how do you spell that and what's your address, that can be tough. I always love when somebody calls in off direct mail. The loan officer says, "What's your address?" And the borrower says, "You just mailed me a letter. You don't have my address." It's kind of irritating to the borrower. So if you take this PIN number, see if I can do this really quick. Sorry. We're just going to copy this PIN number and go down here. Sorry, it's a little bit out of order there. So we have this website that we give our loan officers that you can bookmark and have this thing sitting ready for waiting for your phone to ring. So when you put the PIN number into our website, it pulls up a full property profile, which is very helpful. So just a couple seconds to queue here, but instead of having to ask the borrower, what's your name, what's your address, what's your loan amount, who's your lender, what's your interest rate, basically this system will give you gives you everything you need. The only thing you're not going to know is their income and their credit score. It averages the income and credit score based on the zip code, but you get a Google Maps picture of the house. You get the square footage, you get the year built, property taxes. It'll tell you whether there's an NOD on the property. It tells you their exact loan amount, when they opened their loan. So this particular person has an FHA loan, $358,000 done in April of 2009. Google Maps picture of the house. If you go up here to the lien report, so if I click on liens against the property, now it goes in and tells me who has their loan. So this person, amazingly, is holding on to a countrywide FHA loan that was opened back in April of 2009, and they've got a 5.5% interest rate. It's funny, this person hasn't refinanced. And this is actually live data out of some mailings that I did for your Northern California branch. So it also tells you exactly who's on title, correct spelling of their name, their address. So you can get all this information while you're on the phone with the borrower. And it really helps to close more loans because of the connection you can make with the borrower. When they call, you go, hey, I see you got a $350,000 loan opened with Countrywide back in April. It's almost like they feel like you're their lender and wonder how you have all this information, and it's right there at your fingertips. So we rolled this out about 6 months ago, and it's just been phenomenal, changing the closing ratio. If I go back to the original report, I can click on comparable sales, and it'll show me the 6 homes that have sold in the last few months close to the borrower. So I can actually get a pretty good idea of what this house is worth just looking at the comps. These are all recent and close, and it also gives me 6 more borrowers that live in the neighborhood that I might be able to call and help with a refi. It gives me the names, the addresses. So this is just a great system that will really help you when you help you know more about the borrower when they call in.
Is that included in the cost also, or is that additional?
That is included in our cost, and just to give you an idea of cost, I mean, our minimum order is 5,000 letters at 75 cents a piece, so it's $3,750. And you get the CRM, you get a copy of the data, you get the toll-free phone number, we pay the phone bill, recording the phone calls. So we have like a lot of things included in that price point. If you jump up to 10,000 mailers, the price drops from 75 cents down to 65 cents. So there's a big price break on 10,000. And you don't have to mail all 10,000 at once. If you're one loan officer working from home, you probably can't send 10,000 mailers and get 50 phone calls in a week. So we spread out that mailing into maybe 4 drops of 2,500. So you can take 12 calls a week and try to close 2 or 3 loans a week up 10,000 mailers, but take advantage of the price break.
That's great.
Quicken Loans last month mailed 8 million pieces of mail at 50 cents a piece. They spent $4 million on direct mail. They closed 8,000 loans off direct mail last month. So if you get into some of the bigger quantities, the price comes way down. At 75 cents, 65 cents. I mean, you might get it down to 49 cents a piece on 50 to 100,000 letters. So it all depends on how many we're printing at once. So that is our, I guess we call it our CRM, kind of AVM property profile. So let's see what else I can.
Hey, you want to go back, Jeff? Would you mind going back a slide or two that shows the 6 comparables in this neighborhood? I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of a cascade effect, from that one marketing piece.
Sure. Let me go back to that really quick. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry if these were different orders. So I click on this website. You would just bookmark this website sitting on your computer. So as soon as the phone rings, you just punch this in here. I had a loan officer tell me the other day, Jeff, it's great not to ask for their name and address because sometimes it's hard to hear on the phone, and everybody's calling in nowadays from their cell phone. So they're calling me from the McDonald's drive-thru on my mailer, and I'm trying to get their name and address because it's great that you have this code as numbers because it's pretty easy to hear numbers versus letters, and I thought that was kind of interesting. This guy's been doing direct mail for a long time and saw the benefit of that, just having the numbers on there. I put in a different PIN number on this one just to show a different property. So there's your Google Maps photo of the house and $302,000 FHA loan from back in June of 13. So I'm going to go to the comparable slide right here and show the comps. So there's 6 homes that have sold around Watsonville, California in the last few months. Similar in square footage. I don't know if you guys, Jay, do you guys broker loans to Freedom Mortgage by chance? They're a big VA lender, and they tend to have pretty good rates. So someone told me the other day that Freedom Mortgage is using this system on comps to do their appraised value on their home. It's been so accurate that they pull this screen up, the underwriters do, and look at the home value based on these comps. This whole system was built by First American CoreLogic, and we just kind of pulled it into our direct mail system. So if you're sending loans to Freedom, this will give you the value that your underwriter's looking at, which is funny. Now, eventually, I think they go out and do an appraisal and confirm the value, but kind of like initial look AVM, this thing's pretty darn accurate. So
yeah.
So
No,
that was
I thought that was good information. Like you said, pulling in perhaps some neighbors and being able to see if maybe there's an opportunity right there, with one of the neighbors. I mean, that first one that you pulled up, 5.5%, back in '09, a countrywide loan that first guy did. I thought that was pretty. Yeah. I mean, that would seem like a slam dunk if the people were reasonable.
Yeah, you wonder why someone would hold on to an '09 loan, at 5.5%, but they're still out there. It's amazing. And then, this person, you got Morgan, Ryan, Wesley, and Morgan, Christina Lynn on title. So is that, husband, wife, domestic partner? I mean, who knows? It's kind of nice to know who's on title, though. The proper address that shows up on title. This person funded their FHA loan June of 13, and it's with Intercap Lending. So it's just great to have this information. It'd be hard to do a mailer without this now, just taking phone calls,
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the CRM. And I can, when somebody buys a mailer from me, I can send them all 5,000 names with PIN numbers. So before your mailer goes out, you can start playing around with this and looking them up and just see who we're mailing. I mean, we're pretty transparent about the data, and who we're mailing to, and when they got their loans and how big their loan is. It's all kind of right there for you.
Nice.
So we'd send over the data in Excel. I don't know, do you guys do reverse mortgages? Are you guys doing this?
Absolutely. It's we're C2 Financial has the fastest growing reverse mortgage origination division in California, as a matter of fact. Not the biggest, but the fastest growing.
That's great. I mean, I've got some reverse mortgage clients that are funding 10 loans a month, and they're making $18,000 a loan. So they're bringing in $180,000 in profit, and they're paying me, 10 grand for a mailer. It's pretty amazing. The loans are kind of, tough to do. They're, sell to seniors, sell to family members, counseling. It might take 3 or 4 months to close them, but if you're making $18,000 a loan, it's kind of hard to ignore. What I like about reverse mortgages is they're not real interest rate sensitive, so if rates jump up a point or two in the next year, you could still be doing some good loans with good revenue. So this is a reverse mortgage letter that I did for Scott, who was with GMFS. He just left this company and went somewhere else. But, we hand wrote the letter, or handwritten font, and, just showing the seniors something a little different, a handwritten letter. We mail seniors that are 62 and older, and they have 50% equity in their property, and sometimes we can look at, low credit scores. If the senior has bad credit, they're probably in some pain, and they might need a reverse mortgage. If they're late on property taxes, or, we even go into databases where one of the seniors, passes away, and now there's a single person who might need some income. I mean, there's some pretty amazing things we're doing with data for reverse mortgage. It's a very saturated market, so we don't get a high response rate. I mean, if I mail 5,000 FHA letters, I get 30 to 40 calls. On reverse, I might only get 15 or 20 calls, but if you get 1 or 2 loans out of it, it's worth taking the lower response because you're making more per loan. So that's just a good sample of a reverse mortgage lender or mail piece. VA letters. This is a big VA lender up in Salt Lake City, Utah. They mail 50,000 letters every month. They get about a 0.4 response rate, so they take in 200 phone calls and close 20 VA loans a month for about $28,000 worth of direct mail, so just over $1,000 a loan. I tell people if you just figure it's going to cost you a half a point to get a loan funded off direct mail, that's a pretty good number to go in with. So, $300,000 loan costs you $1,500 in direct mail. So if you can make a spread on that, we can grow it and get a good ROI. Yeah, VA letters. Here's another VA letter. A lot of my big customers are buying thousands of internet leads, and I'm sure some of the people on the phone are buying client buys every internet lead in America every single day, hundreds of thousands of internet leads. Then the first day they buy the lead, they call the lead 28 times. And then Quicken Loans buys the exact same lead, and Quicken Loans calls them 28 times. So in the first day that you're buying internet leads, they've already received 56 phone calls from 2 people, every lead in the nation. And then you're going in, making one phone call, trying to compete with these guys. It's a tough racket. 40% of the leads they buy, they get a hold of. The other 60% they can't even reach via phone, via email. So what we do is we mail a letter to these internet leads and say, hey, we're trying to reach you by phone, by email, and you've inquired for a loan on the internet, but we haven't been able to reach you. And it's amazing. We mail these little hand-addressed letters with a stamp on there, and we get phone calls off buying internet leads. It's kind of counterintuitive to buy an internet lead and then think about sending a piece of direct mail to them. But if you spent a buck on the letter and you mail a few hundred letters and you get 5 or 10 phone calls and get a loan or two closed off it, it can be very successful. So kind of an interesting idea to buy internet leads and direct mail them. But it's very successful for our lenders. I don't know if I'm going to get into this. This is some pretty high-level credit data conversation, but everybody probably knows who LifeLock is. I got this letter at my house about signing up for LifeLock. As soon as you sign up for LifeLock, the first thing they tell you to do is call the 800 number at the credit bureau and opt out of receiving any direct mail. Take your name off their mailing list. And people don't realize 40 million people in America have called that toll-free number. So if you're going to the credit bureau to buy your mailing list, you cannot buy 40 million records because they've opted out. So we think that the credit bureau data is great, but we do a lot of public record data because we know the credit bureaus are missing a lot of data. So that's kind of what this slide is about. Kind of interesting. We do a lot of both. There's not really one right answer. Credit data is a little more accurate than public records because you get a FICO score, but it's not the only solution. So, this is a count slide for all the different niches that we mail for. So we mail FHA, VA, reverse, non-owner-occupied. So this slide actually shows you how much data we have by state for all of our loan mailing niches. So if you're in California, Quicken Loans funded 17,000 loans in California the last 2 months, which is unbelievable. There's 200,000 FHA borrowers we can mail. There's 112,000 VA loans we can mail. There's 1.5 million seniors with equity we can mail. There's 26,000 people that are currently in a reverse mortgage loan that we can mail because they got older and they have more equity in their property. We can mail them and redo their reverse mortgage and give them more money and possibly a lower rate. That's been a huge niche for us lately. Non-owner occupied, 102,000 properties. So this slide gives you exactly how much data we have by state. And then we can further narrow this down by county if you want to mail your local county. So this slide I could probably spend an hour on if we don't have time. So if you want to see this, we can email this presentation to you. I'll walk you through all the...
Sorry, Jeff. So a couple of questions just came in. So based on what you just said and based on this right here, I assume that all the information that you have, all the databases that you have, all the mailers that you do are scrubbed for the do not mail, do not call list, right?
Yes, so good question. So there is a huge do not call list in America. 90% of America is on the do not call list now. So this particular list is just names and addresses, and we can mail all these people. Only 10% of these people have a phone number available where you can legally call. Some of my clients do direct mail and say, hey, let's mail 10,000 letters and then give me 1,000 phone numbers. I'm going to call and follow up and try to sell some loans through telemarketing. So the do not call is this is all mailing lists, so it doesn't really have much to do with it. Just understand 10% of all these people, we can get a phone number on them.
Mm-hmm.
if you want to scrub your list against the do not mail file just to take some people off that might be mail haters, we can do that. It's a pretty small list, and there's no law against mailing somebody a letters, thank God. So.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I assume that these mailers postage is included.
Yes, it includes third-class postage, which averages around 29 cents a piece. So when I mail from Temecula, California, third-class mail will hit the West Coast in about 3 to 5 days. But if you're on the East Coast, it could take 10 days to hit. So all the prices include third-class mail. 90% of what we do is third-class. If you want to upgrade to first-class postage so that your mailer's hit in 3 days, it's around 12 cents more in postage. So a 10,000-piece mailing would be $1,200 more that we both have to pay the post office to get the letters delivered in 3 days instead of 5 to 10. Most mortgage direct mail is done third class just because it's so much cheaper and it works pretty similar. Just takes longer to get there.
Yeah.
So I got this little ROI slide up that says, hey, if I send out 20,000 mailers and I spend 50 cents a piece and I'm going to invest 10 grand in direct mail, what will my response rate be and what should my close ratio be? How much money can I make? So each mail campaign is a little different. The FHA, you might get 80 phone calls and close 10 loans. VA is a little less calls. Reverse is a little less calls, but revenue per loan. So this is kind of an ROI slide that shows, if I invest $10,000 in direct mail, you should be able to make $52,000 back, a 5-to-1 ROI at the end of the day. That's what it should look like. Sometimes we get a little less response, and somebody only makes $25,000 back on their 10 grand. Sometimes it's a little better, and they make 80 grand on 10. But a 5-to-1 return is a pretty good target to hit, a pretty good average for what we do over the last few years. So, again, if somebody wanted to walk through it.
Yeah, I'd say that's good. 5-to-1. Yeah.
This is a tracking report for some direct mail that we've done in the third and fourth quarter of last year for a large national lender. So, these guys track, okay, how many mailers did we send out? What was our response rate? What did we fund? What was the average loan amount? The cost per lead, the cost per fund. So you can see this lender, invested $440,000 in direct mail. They took in 5,000 phone calls. They closed 351 loans. So their cost per funded loan was $1,254. So as long as they're making $5-6 grand a loan, they'll happily pay us, $1,200 in direct mail. So that's kind of a very large, lender's budget. But you can make this work small scale. You don't have to be clicking loans to make money on mail. That's pretty much went through the CRM, the PIN numbers, letters, data. We can get email addresses on these people, and emails are really cheap, and we've had some success with email marketing. We can also get their home computer IP address. So if they go home and get on the internet, we can get their home computer IP address and deliver them a banner ad that says, hey, refinance your FHA loan today, and people click on the banner and go to your landing page, fill out a lead form, and get some leads that way. It's kind of real targeted internet advertising instead of just mass marketing on the internet. You can market to their home knowing they have a $300,000 FHA loan at that house. We can put a banner in front of them. Real attractive to what we know about them, and that's kind of a new thing that we're doing, but we do some digital marketing alongside of the direct mail. So that is pretty much what I have. If somebody was interested in doing direct mail, you can send us an email or call us, and we can run counts and produce specific letters and proposals and ROI. Typically, we don't like doing less than 5,000 letters. It's $3,750, and that's a pretty big investment for a loan officer if it's just them. But if you get 30 or 40 calls, it's pretty hard not to close 3 or 4 loans off this. And typically, the first loan you do pays for the whole mailer. So anything over that, you're making a profit. There's a big price break at $10,000. If you commit to a couple months worth of mail, we can spread it out. So that gives you an idea of cost. Jay, is there anything else I should cover? Am I forgetting anything?
think I'd like to introduce everybody to Pamela Wagstaff, though. I understand that you've given the presentation that you are the president of overflowworks.com. However, our representative, our contact, would be Pamela. And in fact, it was Pamela that I first spoke with that agreed to set up this webinar. I'm going to thank Pamela for setting this up for us. Everybody that joins this and everybody that listens to this afterwards, please make sure that you contact Pamela for some information. She's on site for us. She's there for C2. I know that I assume, Jeff, that you'll help us out wherever we need any help. But Pamela is the one that I contacted to set this up, and I think that she'll be able to take care of everybody just great.
Yeah, Pamela works in the office next to me. She's my sales manager and been involved in advertising, TV, radio, print for like 15 years. And so we work together and getting all the information out. I did, Jay, I forgot that, I don't know if Michael Austin, your loan officer, joined this conference call or not, but he did a mailing out in Arizona to FHA borrowers, and he did a real small campaign, but I heard he got, 30 or 40 leads and had a bunch of loans in his pipeline, so I don't know if Michael's with us or not, but he hasn't showing his letter up on the screen here. Because whenever you buy a mailer from us, we give you kind of a protected data for like 90 days where we won't sell your data or your letter to anyone else, but it gets a little edgy when you got multiple loan officers in the same state. So I just wanted to kind of give an idea. Michael just did a mailer with us, and I heard he got a bunch of calls. He's got a bunch of loans coming into his pipeline right now, so that's exciting. Great guy. And Michael worked with me, 4 years ago, I think, at another company, just joined C2 in the last couple of weeks, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, he did. He just joined up with a couple other folks. We're excited to have him on, and hopefully the relationship will continue and flourish. And with C2's resources, hopefully it'll close up even more loans. Yeah, Michael, Michael, you are on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you for just a moment. We've actually got to wrap up here pretty quick, but let me see if I can unmute you, Michael. So you should right now. Yeah, do you want to give a testimonial, Michael?
Yeah, I've been using Jeff's company for a few years now, and I won't stop. I mean, it's just been working out very well for me over the last 2 years.
Good deal. Glad to hear it.
Thanks, Michael.
Anytime, Jeff.
Yep. Hey, we're at about 10:44. I want to wrap it up here pretty quick. Go ahead, Jeff, and throw up Pamela's contact information one more time. I'd like to end with that. I'd like to end by saying thank you very much for joining us, Jeff. I think the presentation was just great, and hopefully people understand that with a little investment, the returns can be significant. I think that's the real lesson here. The way that you approach it seems very, very structured. It seems like you've done this, exact what lists work, the direction that they should go, how they should be presented, how they should be received. So your expertise is going to be very helpful for our guys. And hopefully, again, they'll see that investing a little bit of money is going to really pay off at the end. So just to wrap it up, any last words that you have, Jeff?
I think I covered everything. If you want to take a look at your states, your counties, we run counts and show you all the data and the letters, all free of charge. So just shoot us an email on what you might be looking for, and we'll give you some ideas, and then follow up with a phone call and maybe a one-on-one conference call. That would be my suggestion. If you have any interest in trying to make direct mail work for you, we can do a good job for you. So I appreciate you having me.